This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Granger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRANGER, click Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Granger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Granger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next-day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRANGER, click Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. You send us sources you're curious about, and, well, we dig in to pull out the key knowledge for you. Quick, clear.
That's the idea.
And today, we're tackling a really significant topic, the state of mental health care right now, and especially the role medication plays in it.
It's huge. And you, our listener, wanted to get a good grasp on this, but, without getting totally overwhelmed.
Exactly. So we've gathered several articles, different viewpoints on the modern mental health system.
A real mix, some analytical, some quite personal.
So our mission today, really try to cut through the noise, figure out the main ideas shaping how we handle mental well-being, particularly, the medication side of things. Ready to jump in?
Let's do it. We've got some really interesting material here. Some articles look at the big picture, the pressures, the structures.
The system itself.
Right. And then others give us that ground level view, what it actually feels like to be in that system. It's quite a landscape.
Okay, let's start with the first one. It's titled The Assembly Line of Healing, How Mental Health Became a Numbers Game. That title alone.
It definitely sets a tone.
It really does. The core idea seems to be this metaphor. Mental health care acting like a mechanized assembly line.
Moving away from nuanced individual care towards something driven more by, insurance demands, pack schedules.
And a big one, pharmacology. The article draws this contrast, between really listening and just typing, between dialogue and just diagnosis.
And that speed aspect hits you right away. It mentions the average psychiatric consult in the U.S. is, about 15 minutes?
15 minutes.
Yeah, think about that. Trying to unpack complex trauma or deep-seated issues and then walk out with a prescription in just 15 minutes.
It makes you really question if you can even scratch the surface. The article calls it a kind of fast food approach to psychotropic meds, antidepressants, antipsychotics, mood stabilizers.
Fast food implies quick, maybe convenient, but lacking substance.
Exactly. It asks, where's the nourishment? And then it hits you with this statistic. Over 80 million Americans prescribed these drugs in 2023.
80 million. That's a staggering number.
It is. But then, the article points out, at the same time, we're seeing rising rates of suicide, more hospitalizations, people feeling more isolated.
So the numbers aren't quite adding up. More medication, but worsening outcomes in some key areas. Something's off.
Right. Something isn't adding up. Now, the piece is careful. It acknowledges medication does have a place. It can be life-saving for some, absolutely.
Crucial point. It's not dismissing medication entirely.
No. But it hones in on this problem of scale and maybe substitution.
Mm-hmm.
Pills being used instead of therapy or connection or lifestyle adjustments.
Which ties into the pressure on clinicians, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pressure for quick results, quick fixes. So prescribing becomes the path of least resistance, maybe? The default?
That seems to be the argument. And this leads to the consequence the article suggests that if every problem seems to have a pill solution,
then you stop asking the harder questions.
Exactly. You stop asking what happened to you, or what do you believe about yourself, or even just what feels like it's missing.
And those questions, they take time. They require trust. Things that are hard to build in a 15-minute slot.
So the takeaway here feels like
Yeah.
focusing just on symptoms, like checkboxes, might be efficient on paper, but it misses the person.
Yeah, the risk of oversimplification is clear. The article concludes that until the system brings back that art of healing, the listening, the understanding, it might look efficient, but it remains, in its own way, unwell.
Okay, so moving from that critique of the system, the next article offers a kind of counterpoint. It's called Beyond the Prescription Pad, Reclaiming the Human in Healing.
A different vibe straight away. This one starts by asking, what if? What if healing began with listening, not labeling?
What if practitioners were actually trained to just sit with discomfort, Witness pain. Hold space.
It's a direct challenge to that medicalized model. It argues the crisis isn't just about access or funding, those matter, but about the core philosophy.
The philosophy being the medicalization of the mind. Treating healing like a transaction.
Exactly. And it contrasts that with the idea that real transformation, real healing happens in relationship, in connection.
It tries to paint a picture of what that better way might look like, too.
Yeah.
Things like clinics combining trauma-informed therapy with, say, movement or art or nature.
Holistic approaches.
Yeah. Mental health plans that look at the whole person, body, spirit, story, not just symptoms. And that key question shift again.
From what's wrong with you to what happened to you.
Right. It feels much more compassionate, more curious.
And it really brings home that mind-body connection. Healing needs a bigger toolkit, basically. Science and soul, as the article puts it. Medication might stabilize, sure, but it shouldn't be the only tool.
Because healing is complex. It's messy. It takes time, trust. It's about returning to wholeness.
So this piece feels like a call to action for everyone involved, doctors, therapists, patients, policymakers.
To build systems that actually heal, prioritizing depth, connection, humanity over just speed and efficiency.
And that final line really resonates. Healing isn't just the absence of pain, it's the presence of self. Finding yourself again.
Wow. Okay, quite a shift there. Now, the third article takes another sharp turn. This one's called Welcome to Meds Are Us, your one-stop shop for emotional efficiency.
Yeah, you can hear the satire dripping from that title.
Absolutely. It frames the whole system as this, like retail outlet for feelings. Got sadness, anxiety, don't want to feel, we got a pill for that.
It uses that satire to really poke at what it sees as the underlying beliefs of the system. Maybe the belief that emotions are just inconvenient.
Or that compliance is the main goal, that asking why isn't really the point.
Yeah, it suggests that questioning gets sidelined. The humor is trying to highlight how the system might be prioritizing suppression over understanding.
It definitely goes hard on the caricature, calling psychiatrists expert pill pushers who diagnose in 10 minutes or less.
And those sarcastic side effects. Robotic behavior, numbed relationships, existential crisis.
But hey, at least you're not crying at work. That's the ironic kicker.
It's brutal. And dismissing therapy as for hippies while pushing quick fixes. It's clearly exaggerating to make a point about superficiality.
The point being, maybe, the potential for dehumanization, when everything becomes about the pill.
I think so. It paints this cynical picture of mental health as a booming industry where maybe suffering, in a weird way, helps the bottom line.
That tagline, happiness is just a dosage away, sums up the critique perfectly. It's so sharp.
And that final warning is clever, too, suggesting sarcasm might actually wake you up, make you think critically. Consult your soul, it says.
Okay, so after that biting satire, our fourth piece brings us back to a very human level. It's a personal story. My mind wasn't broken, but the system tried to fix me. Anyway.
These personal accounts are so important, aren't they? They really ground the systemic issues we've been talking about.
Definitely. The author talks about their first psych visit at 22. Sleep problems, racing thoughts, feeling heavy, and boom, a quick prescription.
And that detail. Remembering the sound of the printer more than the doctor's voice, that says so much.
It really does. It captures that feeling of being processed, not heard. Then they describe 5 years on and off different meds, SSRIs, SNRIs, mood stabilizers, sleeping pills.
A real cocktail.
Yeah. Always with this promise of balance, but mostly feeling like they were losing clarity. Some helped a bit, temporarily, others just numbed things, but none touched that hole inside, as they put it.
And what stands out is what wasn't asked.
Exactly. No deep dives into the sleep issues, childhood stuff, relationships, grief, just tweaking chemicals.
Feeling like a chemistry experiment, that's a powerful and sad image. Reflects that lack of deeper inquiry we talked about earlier.
The turning point for the authors sounds like it came from the withdrawal process itself. Nightmares, realizing a pill wasn't the answer.
Which led them somewhere different.
Yeah, to a therapist who significantly didn't bring up medication for 6 months. The focus shifted entirely, talking, crying, rewriting their story. That's where the author felt healing actually started.
It's a crucial distinction, isn't it? Finding healing through understanding and self-exploration, separate from, or maybe alongside, but not solely reliant on, medication.
And the author is clear. They're not anti-medication. They're anti-silencing. Anti-systems that stop listening. Anti-doctors becoming just pill vendors. Anti-treating emotion like an error code.
A powerful stance. It really emphasizes that healing isn't linear, it's not fast, it's personal, maybe even sacred.
And that people deserve more than just symptom management. They deserve, as the author says, to be seen.
Which brings us to our final piece, the quiet war. When the soul is drowned in chemicals, this one feels broader, more philosophical.
Yeah, maybe even a bit spiritual. It connects individual struggles to bigger cultural things.
It starts by observing how our society, so focused on productivity, doesn't really make space for struggle, for pause. So the system rushes to suppress distress, maybe, instead of understanding its message.
And it floats this really provocative idea. What if mental illness isn't always illness in the traditional sense? What if sometimes it's the soul's rebellion?
A rebellion against what? An unlived life, unacknowledged pain.
Something like that. It contrasts medicating, sedating, with listening, welcoming the shadow rather than trying to banish it.
It uses strong language again. The pill as a modern-day sacrament, a ritual of control to make us more manageable, maybe more compliant.
And it challenges the standard view of anxiety and depression. Could anxiety be a compass pointing somewhere important? Could depression be unspoken grief or stifled creativity or some denied truth trying to surface?
It's definitely asking us to reframe these experiences, to see them not just as problems to be fixed, but perhaps as signals to be understood.
The article argues pretty strongly that you can't drug away a cultural crisis of disconnection. You can't numb your way to wholeness.
So what's the path forward, according to this piece?
Presence, compassion, community, and the courage really to just sit with what hurts, not just reach for the pharmaceutical fix immediately.
And that closing thought. Wow. Let us not confuse silence for peace. Let us not confuse stillness for healing.
Yeah. Sometimes the noise inside is not madness, but music waiting to be heard. That leaves you with a lot to think about.
Definitely. It's a challenge to listen differently, both to ourselves and to others.
So, wrapping up this deep dive, looking across all these articles, that central tension is really clear, isn't it?
Absolutely. Between, on one hand, this efficiency-driven, often medication-first approach shaped by systemic pressures.
And on the other hand, this call for something more holistic, more human. An approach centered on listening, on understanding root causes, on connection, on the individual story.
And it's key to remember, like you said, most sources weren't saying medication is inherently bad.
No, not at all. It was more about raising critical questions. When is it used? How? Is it sometimes overused? Is it substituting for other vital parts of healing like therapy or community or just being heard?
These are tough questions with no easy answers.
So for you listening, what are your thoughts now? After hearing these different takes, did anything particularly resonate with your own experiences or views?
What questions pop up for you about how we approach mental health? It's worth taking a moment to just sit with that.
Yeah, maybe reflect on these ideas, perhaps explore a bit more on your own, or talk about it with someone. And maybe as a final thought to leave you with.
Go on.
In a world that often pushes us to quiet down our inner struggles, what could we potentially gain, individually and maybe even collectively, if we really learn to listen, truly listen to what's going on inside?